All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what is happening at this moment in Syria, we're joined by Professor Scott Lucas, who's a professor of international politics at the Clinton University College in Dublin. He's joining us live in this broadcast. Now, Professor Lucas, let me in fact ask you with the latest information that has come in, where the American Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has said that the United States is in direct contact with this new group that has captured power in Damascus, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, led by this individual, Abu Muhammad al-Julani, who formerly was a right-hand man of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and also headed the Al-Qaeda wing in Syria. In your assessment, what do you make of the fact that the United States of America is talking to an individual's group which has been sanctioned by the United States of America itself as a terrorist organization?
Well, I think we start with facts and realities. I think the reality, of course, is that Hayat Tahrir al-Sham is one of the groups. It's not the only group, but it is one of the groups, the military and political groups that have removed the Assad regime and that will be involved in trying to establish the transitional government. So you either have to deal with those groups, including HTS, or you put yourself off to the side. I think the facts are also important here, and that is Hayat Tahrir al-Sham was fighting the Islamic State, despite al-Julani's background, from 2014. Very bloody fights in the north of the country. So they are not the same as the Islamic State. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham broke from al-Qaeda in 2016, primarily because they said al-Qaeda was a foreign organization. They wanted to represent Syrians.
Right.
Hayat Tahrir al-Sham has been in power as one of the groups in power in the Northwest for several years, and they need to be treated as distinct, not just simply as al-Qaeda, because that's not true. And we need to look at how they've ruled up there and how they might.
Even if you look and accept the rebrandings that Hayat Tahrir al-Sham has gone through, the fact of the matter is Hayat Tahrir al-Sham is designated as a terrorist organization even at this moment by the United Nations, the United States and the United Kingdom.
Well, the African National Congress was designated as a terrorist organization by various groups before they took power in South Africa, or up until a few years before they took power in South Africa. Sinn Féin, which is the political wing of the IRA, was designated as a terrorist organization. Now they, of course, are in power. In fact, they're the leading power in Northern Ireland. So groups do change. Groups do evolve. And I'm not saying that you should embrace an organization without question. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham in the northwest of Syria has been accused, I think quite rightly, of violations of rights. It has been accused of curbing political and social space, but importantly, other rebel groups and indeed civilian groups have pushed back against HTS in the Northwest and said, look, you're not going to be authoritarian. And I think we have to wait and see. But in the early days of liberation here, we've had a peaceful liberation, and we have not seen rights being violated so far.
All right, you're saying that rights have not been violated so far. Despite the many faults attributed to Bashar al-Assad, something that even his critics do admit is that he was staunchly secular, and Christians, the Druze, the Alawites, the Shias, the Sunnis, and other minorities all had, by and large, their rights respected. Do you think that secular nature of Syria will continue under this government that has come into existence under Hayat Tahrir al-Sham?
Well, the issue is not whether or not Syria was secular or religious. It's that the Assad regime was secular and deadly. So it was quite happy to treat groups the same, that it would detain Sunnis, it would detain Shia, it would detain Alawites, it would detain Christians, it would detain Druze. It would kill all of them. This idea that simply because you're secular, that puts you above a religious group, you can't make that assumption.
But Professor Lucas, a lot of people would say that you're being way too optimistic. The last time around when the civil war broke out in Syria and also the instability in Iraq spawned what was ISIS, one of the deadliest terrorist organizations out there. And now we're dealing with a bunch of hardline fundamentalist Islamists who have captured power in Damascus. So how does the West expect that the rights of the minorities, religious minorities, will be respected by these new bunch of rebels who are backed by Turkey and also the United States of America?
Well, you're dealing with Islamists, but you're also dealing with secular rebel groups. Not all the rebel groups are Islamist. You're also dealing with technocrats. You're also dealing with civil society groups that are involved. In other words, there's been a mistake in the media to treat this as this is just Hayat Tahrir al-Sham and no one else. And what I'm saying is, I'll defer to my Syrian friends here.
Right.
And what they say is, look, we need to be cautious. We need to hold groups accountable, but we are hopeful. After hundreds of thousands of our fellow countrymen being killed and more than 11 million being displaced, we are hopeful that we finally might get a chance for the security and the prosperity that others have.
I think you are sounding a very optimistic note. One can only hope the best for the Syrians, but also one needs to look at the track record of the organizations that, of course, have assumed power. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Scott Lucas, for joining us with that perspective there.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.